So the first main topic for today is multi-currency services. And again, Maarten, thank you very much for joining. Maybe before we dive into the details, a bit of background on where your passion for this topic comes from.
Yeah, of course, I would love to tell you a bit more about the multi-currency services, which comprises of multi-currency pricing and dynamic currency conversion. Having worked for a long time in the airline industry, one of my previous positions, I used to work within the Treasury Department a long time ago, and there I was a currency manager, so looking after all exposures of KLM in more than 75 currencies, responsible for the cash management part as well. That was very interesting. And when I moved over to the digital department of KLM back in 2005, we had a lot on our plate. And I think that is a nice bridge to the first page of the presentation, Paul, because if we look I think, at the first tile, I used to work, or I was heading the payment department of KLM, and we often payment departments are always very busy with things they have to do. For instance, they have to comply to a new EU ruling, or as Esperanza will know, there are new card scheme rules. The issuers come with new things. PCI was, of course, a big thing. So often you have to kind of be acting reactive. But what I liked about implementing MCP at KLM, DCC would be the same, is that you become proactive. The challenge I saw is how can we change the payment department from a cost center to a revenue generator. And when I came across the opportunity to start implementing DCC or MCP, which means basically an ongoing revenue stream for the airlines. Once you implemented it, I really got enthusiastic. I always say, you work for a few months very hard to implement it, and then you sit back and you see the money rolling in, and that's a very nice thing. And yeah, if you're talking about an airline, what I liked as well, it got a lot of attention from senior management as well, CFO, CEO. They were very involved, and it was very nice. Probably the main challenge in offering it in your airline is that a lot of departments are involved. I myself was working for digital, but accounting is a very important department which is involved. Ticketing is involved. Treasury, of course, which all connects to acquirers, and web support as well. So whenever you start with this project, and seriously, in my 30 years of KLM, without exaggerating, this was the most fun and most rewarding project. But be sure to sit with your stakeholders, listen to their requirements, and come with the solution which fits into your organization. Now, one of the decisions which you have to deal with is, are you going to do it yourself? For instance, you could do it yourself if you have quite a sophisticated treasury department. Do you make use of PSS, or are you outsourcing it to a core business, a core provider for MCP or DCC services, like Continuum is? KLM opted for that. The good thing about that is that, of course, it seems maybe not so complicated to get rates of exchange in your organization, but also think of the management of the whole program and the settings of the program. KLM, we decided to outsource it. That also has to do with outsourcing risk. For us, the provider is responsible for providing the right rates of exchange. If you do it in-house, you have to make sure with the department who's servicing you that they constantly provide you with the right rates of exchange. Otherwise, it could be the case that you're making use of a wrong exchange rate. So think about those things if you make a decision. And yeah, I can tell from experience that it's probably better to work with a company which core business this is, so you can focus on your own work and basically on the revenue stream. Okay, so what is multi-currency services? Well, multi-currency services comes actually with two flavors, if you like. We will deep dive into a little bit later. It's either DCC or MCP. What does it do actually? So basically, you have a customer who's going to your website, and let's say this customer has a credit card which is issued by his bank in US dollars. He is on a website of an airline, and let's say it's a European website where this customer is buying a ticket of 1,000 euros. The airline, let's say it's in the Netherlands, it prices its ticket of 1,000 euros, and then normally without MCS, the payment goes as follows. The customer is paying in euros with his US dollar credit card. Consequently, the bank of the cardholder, so the booker, the client, converts the euro amount into US dollars because he's charged in US dollars, and adds a markup. Depending on the payment option, the FX Forex markup is to be determined, also dependent by the issuing bank. And then the customer is charged in US dollars, and the airline is receiving the original currency in which it sold in euros. So that's the normal process without MCS. If an airline or a merchant is offering a multi-currency services, then the process is different. Let's take the same customer. He's again using his dollar-issued credit card. He's still buying a ticket which is originally priced in 1,000 euros. However, he is opted to pay in his preferred currency, in his own currency, and that's US dollars. The airline does add the FX markup. We will come there later how they can do that and how high that can be. So in this case, the customer, he will see the ultimate price in dollars. So he pays, the payment itself is in dollars. The transaction is being processed in dollars, what we call like for like. The customer is charged in US dollars, so he will not see any FX fees on his card statement. And the airline can either determine to receive dollars as well or request euros. But the big difference with or without MCS is that the currency conversion and the markup shift is moving from the credit card issuing bank to the airline. Depending on what the airline charges, it is important to realize that there is no additional charge to the customer. It's just a shift in markup, and that's obviously what airlines like a lot. I think it's fair to say that airlines, as you probably know, operate at a thin margin. So being able to offer this financial auxiliary to customers is a very nice issue, and will bring you in some nice revenue as a merchant and as an airline specifically. So I already talked about two things, DCC, which stands for Dynamic Currency Conversion, and multi-currency pricing, MCP. Those are two options which you can offer. Basically, you see the difference between DCC and MCP here. I will not go over all the differences. I just want to highlight a few of them. The big difference between DCC and MCP is that DCC is available for Visa and MasterCard only, as it uses part of the BIN range of the card and can then determine in what currency the card is issued. MCP can be offered with a lot of more payment options, not only with American Express and diners, but also with debit cards, with PayPal, with Apple Pay, with bank transfers. So with MCP you can reach out to more customers actually. Also, DCC is more regulated, much more regulated than MCP by the schemes. So you have to supply the mid rate which is used, and you have to supply on your website as well the markup which you are levying. This is not compulsory with MCP, so it's less regulated, and can be more easy for you, because sometimes it's difficult to explain this proposition on a website in 2 sentences to your customers. I mean, we as payment geeks, we understand it, but if maybe a person sees that he has to pay an X percentage of currency markup, and he is not aware that his card issuing bank is doing the same, he might be confused. So that's a difference. What is, I think, important, since DCC is working with the bin range of the credit card, it can only be offered on the payment page, whereas MCP can be offered on the payment page, but also anywhere in the funnel. You can also offer MCP already at the first part of the customer journey, whereby you offer the customer the possibility to see all the prices in the customer journey in his or her preferred currency. Now, like I said, and what you see here on the side, both DCC and MCP are not an additional charge to the cardholder. That is, if the airlines price DCC or MCP in a fair way. They just replace the currency exchange process, which is applied by the card issuers. What you see here is you saw the 2 differences. What I would like to say is that one other thing was that you can combine MCP and DCC as well. We call that the hybrid model. This is also offered by Continuum, for instance, where you first show the MCP offer if you did not get an opt-in, and you can then still decide to offer DCC on the payment page if the bin of the card allows you to offer DCC. Now, what are the benefits of multi-currency services, both MCP and DCC? What I really like about that is that it's you see here 4 reasons, that three of them are to the benefit of the customer. And I can remember when we implemented this at the airline I used to work for, also our marketing people who are not so aware of, let's say, finance, so to say, they liked it very much, because then we explained what's in it for the customer. First of all, it's transparency to the customer. I mean, think of that if you are on a holiday and you see something priced in a currency which you do not know. For you, it's difficult to understand the value of what you're buying, whether it's a meal or a souvenir. So if you see something which is priced in your own currency, you can relate much more to it, and that will therefore increase customer satisfaction and also the conversion of your website. So that is one. So the second one is assurance to the customer. Think here about the process. If you are able to process the transaction in the currency of the cardholder in which he will be charged, then at the moment of the checkout on your website, he or she will know what the final amount is he has to pay in his own currency. If he has to pay in a different currency, he has to await the statement of his card issuer in order to see what rate of exchange has been applied by his card issuer, and then he sees his final price. Now, most of the people, they like clarity, they like assurance. So also knowing this at that moment when you actually buy your ticket will increase customer satisfaction and therefore increase your sales. Now, like I said, depending on your strategy as a merchant or as an airline, it can mean a financial benefit to your customer. If you as a merchant, as an airline, decide to be on par or even a little lower with the FX markup as compared to what the issuers is doing, then it's also a financial benefit to your customer. Of course, it's up to you as a merchant how you want to charge it. What I can certainly recommend is not overcharge the customer. That's not good. And then last, but certainly not least, to you as a merchant, as an airline, MCB is a very, very nice additional revenue stream. Based upon experience, I can tell that for the airline I was working for, it was our biggest commission-based auxiliary. And with a commission-based auxiliary, I mean compared to, let's say, hotels, insurance, car rental. So that all yielded a very nice yearly revenue stream. I think we have been offering it now since 2015, still with the same supplier, Continuum. Very, very happy and yeah, very satisfied. We have been doing this.
Okay, well, thank you, Maarten, and it's always good to hear you say "we" because you can get the man out of the airline, not the airline out of the man, right? Okay.
Yes. Even the Eagles made a song after that, Paul. Correct. Well,
well, thanks for elaborating on that, and it's a very interesting topic, and especially because, like you said in the introduction, it's a revenue generator, whilst typically airlines only focus, let's say, on reducing costs. It's where you can shift the balance to revenue